First up is Witch Bolt. Witch Bolt is a level 1 evocation spell that deals 1d12 lightning damage. What makes this spell underrated is that it actually uses an attack roll, which means it benefits from things like Bless, High Ground, and so on. Not only that, but because it uses an attack roll, it can crit, unlike many other lightning spells. And while it might not seem strong in the beginning of the game, it scales incredibly well, reaching 6d12 damage at level 6, and is arguably the best single target damage spell in the game when a target is wet and vulnerable to lightning damage, which doubles the total damage taken. Pair this with Destructive Wrath, which will cause a lightning or thunder spell to deal its maximum damage, and it's a guaranteed 144 lightning damage to a wet target, 288 if it crits. Witch Bolt isn't all good though, it does require concentration, so it's a good idea to use this before you use any other concentration spells. And activating Witch Bolt only does 1d12 damage no matter what, so it's not really worth an action after the initial cast later on. But you might not think a level 1 spell would be the highest single target damage spell in the game. Number 2 is Rally. Rally is a Battle Master fighter bonus action learned at level 3. At the cost of a superiority die and a bonus action, you can grant an ally 8 temporary hit points. While this might not look very impressive at first glance, Rally can be used to help up a downed teammate. Of course, you could also throw a potion, but throwing a potion costs an action, so being able to help a downed teammate for just a bonus action is actually pretty amazing. Not only that, but Rally has a massive 18-meter range, so you can help a downed teammate who is quite far away. And as a bonus, when you help a teammate up with Rally, they get healed that 1 HP in addition to the 8 temporary hit points. And if you like that tip, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more Baldur's Gate 3 content. Number 3 is Featherfall. Featherfall is a level 1 transmutation spell, which is also a ritual spell. It allows you to make your party immune to falling damage, which allows them to jump from great heights without fear of death. And while it's amazing for its utility for getting around, it can also be used to deal massive damage to enemies. If you jump onto an enemy from a high up place, you can deal an incredible amount of damage to them and maybe even defeat them in one hit. Number 4 is Speak with Animals. Speak with Animals is a level 1 divination spell. This spell allows spellcasters to understand and talk to beasts until the next long rest. It's also a ritual spell, so it won't consume a spell slot. There are a ton of animals in the game and lots of intriguing dialogue to be had with them. But what is actually beneficial to the player is that there are certain animals that when you interact with them, you'll actually get certain items. For example, talking with the strange ox can eventually lead you to getting Shapeshifter's Boon Ring and the Hat of Fire Acuity. Not only that, but you can also speak with animals that can trade with you, like Skittle, the rat merchant found inside a cell in the Heapside prison during Act 3. He'll offer items like Elixir of Universal Resistance. So Speak with Animals, I think, is a hidden gem in Baldur's Gate 3. Number 5 is Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is a level 1 enchantment spell that leaves a creature prone with laughter. It's a great way for removing an enemy from combat, and unlike spells like Command, Charm Person, and Sleep, it works on non-humanoids like undead and zombies. And while the enemy is prone, you'll have advantage against them, and dealing damage to a target affected by Tasha's Hideous Laughter won't always end the effect. There's only a chance to. Overall, it's a very underrated control spell, especially in Act 2 with all of the undead and zombie enemies that you'll be running into. Number 6 is Guardian of Faith. This level 4 conjuration spell calls forth a divine guardian that attacks nearby enemies, but every time it deals damage, the guardian loses an equal amount of hit points. Now, because of this hit point loss, Guardian of Faith usually doesn't last very long and doesn't provide a lot of value for a level 4 spell slot. But when combined with Globe of Invulnerability, the Guardian of Faith is allowed to get an infinite number of attacks off for the 3 turns that the globe is around. The Guardian of Faith not only attacks when an enemy comes nearby, but also when they attack the Guardian. So your Guardian can get a ton of attacks in if you position it near a choke point or a door, and the Globe of Invulnerability is just barely overlapping to make it invulnerable, and the enemies are not in that globe. Also, as an added bonus, since the Globe of Invulnerability lasts 3 turns, your whole party could chug a potion of Angelic Slumber and get a long rest while your Guardian of Faith is fighting for you, and since the potion lasts 2 turns and the globe lasts 3, you won't be interrupted. Number 7 is Conjure Elemental. Conjure Elemental is a level 5 conjuration spell that summons an elemental ally to follow and fight for you. Options for this spell include air, earth, fire, and water elementals. But what's really interesting about this spell is that that it can be upcast and you can summon 4 entirely different elementals with the same spell. The 4 upcast elementals are the air, earth, fire, and water myrmidons. All the myrmidons are incredibly useful, but one that is particularly amazing is the air myrmidon because of Raging Vortex. Raging Vortex creates a choking maelstrom that deals bludgeoning damage each turn, but also silences everyone within. And what's amazing about it is that it doesn't require concentration, while the level 2 illusion spell Silence does actually require concentration. So you've got a silence spell, which is a huge AoE that doesn't even require concentration. And silence is powerful, of course, because enemies within can't cast spells while silenced, which is very powerful, especially when you combine it with movement speed impairing things like Grease or Hunger of Hadar. Number 8 is Blindness. Blindness is a level 2 necromancy spell that blinds a creature, causing attack rolls against it to have advantage. The blinded creature attacks with disadvantage, and their attack range is reduced to 3 meters. This is absolutely amazing. It lasts 10 rounds, and probably most incredible of all, it doesn't require concentration. Now, most powerful control spells in Baldur's Gate 3 typically require concentration, even Tasha's Hideous Laughter, but not Blindness. Also, each level that you upcast Blindness allows you to target yet another enemy. And if you've ever had a blind character in your party, you know that they are so much less useful while blind. They're constantly missing, they're pretty useless, and that's especially the case if they're a ranged character because, you know, if you're typically shooting, you'd have to go into melee range to do that, and then you're just not going to hit a lot of the time. And finally, number 9 is Glyph of Warding. Glyph of Warding is a level 3 abjuration spell. This spell places a ward that triggers various effects in an AoE when stepped on by an enemy, from different types of damage to pushing enemies and even putting all enemies within it to sleep. These utility uses are what make this spell, in my opinion, underrated. Placing this where it can push enemies off cliffs or mass sleep multiple full health enemies is something that no other spell can do. Instead of a normal sleep, which is a 100% chance based off of HP, remaining HP, Glyph of Warding requires the target to pass a dexterity saving throw. And best of all, if you place the glyph where creatures are already present, it triggers immediately. So essentially, you could think of Glyph of Warding as an AoE sleep spell, or a spell similar to Shatter, just AoE pushing enemies away from a target location. So Glyph of Warding, yet another spell that I believe is underrated. And those are the 9 spells that I think are underrated in Baldur's Gate 3. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.